Fall 2025 is kind of a whirlwind if you're an SAT test taker or a prospective SAT test taker. There's a lot of tests coming up. We just finished looking at August, but September, October, November, December, there's a test every single month. This hasn't really happened in the SAT world for at least a long time. Which one should you take? Please don't just take them all.
Don't do that.
We're here to talk to you about it. We're here to talk to you about it. We want to make sure that you do your absolute best. You're not spending any undue energy that could be going into your clubs, that could be going into your classes at school. We want to make sure that you have the best possible chance to get the highest possible score that you are capable of achieving. So yeah, this video will be kind of your one-stop shop guide for 2025 fall SAT season. If you're not a senior, skip to this timestamp, or you can kind of look at the chapters, skip there, because we wanted to address our seniors first. They have a little bit of a time crunch. And so Deanna, tell me about what you should do if you're a senior.
Yeah. I got like a little bit, I had like a slight traumatic like whiplash when you said take all of the tests. Don't do that. Please, like regardless of what grade you're in, do not walk into every test. Please always, my big rule is just because there's a test doesn't mean I have to walk into it. Save your money, save your time. Don't do that. Seniors, we understand this is a chaotic time. Fall semester has started. It's your senior year. You're starting to think about colleges. You have to write applications. Many of you may not be done with SAT, which is totally fine. You may have taken August SAT and you're wondering which test you need to take for, just if you're a senior applying for college this cycle. So if you're applying in 2025. The good news is you can take up to October and still have really no issue for early and or regular admission. October is usually the last test I would recommend students to take, just because November and December, you're likely want to spend a lot of your energy really writing those application essays and really kind of, figuring out, getting recommendations, things like that. You're going to be busy. So we want to make sure you stay within September, October. Now, does that mean you should take both September, October? No, don't do that. My rule of thumb is if you've taken August, or if you've taken 2 other SATs before this year, so in 2025, including August, or even if it's not, even if you didn't take August 2025, if you've taken 2 SATs this year and you're a senior, you should be okay taking September. We should be advanced enough that you can walk into September. Study for it, but you should be able to take it. However, if you're a senior, you haven't studied over the summer, not really, you took August, it didn't go very well, or it didn't go how you thought it would, do not walk into September. The beauty of fall is that we have a test, or a fall 2025 is we have a test pretty much every 3 weeks. So the October test is actually only 3 weeks after the September test. So please stop, study for the test a little bit, and then choose to walk into October. I've had many students in the past take October test as seniors, send those scores in, and get admitted regular and early decision to their first or top choices. So it's absolutely not an issue. Don't freak out. You're not in a bad place because you're a senior still taking SAT. Calm your nerves. We know that because you finished junior year classes, you're really well equipped to take this test now. Just put in that little extra legwork of studying this fall and walk into September or October. If you know August wasn't great, be honest to yourself. Don't take the September test. You're not ready for it. Not because you're not equipped to take it. You're just not ready for it. Take a break. Go back to studying, walk into October, you'll be fine. There's no rush there in terms of college admissions. You'll be fine.
Yeah, college admissions has kind of made it so that the October SAT is perfectly acceptable for pretty much every single regular decision. Early decisions, well, depending on school, but that you should be thinking about taking the SAT for your early decision school anyways at this point. Should they ever take November, December?
Seniors, you can take November, December if you think SAT is going to be a factor in terms of your scholarships. So if there's a reason to believe that your high SAT score will be a point, will kind of put you in a better point to negotiate for scholarship money, or if you're trying to get into a specific program, there are a lot of freshman specific programs at certain colleges that are a little more competitive to get into, or if you're thinking even you might transition once you're at college, once you think you might transfer, or you might look into extra external programs that you would need an SAT score for. It's good to take this while you're still fresh, having studied for the test, but unless you're in those very specific circumstances, October is going to be our best bet. Leave your SAT score where it is. Remember, it's just one metric in your entire application. Don't stress about it too much. You got to learn to walk away from it and do the rest of your application at some point.
Okay, seniors, good luck. We know you're in for a tough time. Good luck.
Good luck.
Please take care of yourself, but also do well. Okay. For everyone else, hello, sophomores, seniors, juniors. Hopefully you're not in middle school and listening to this. Let's talk a little bit, Deanna, about what tests you should take if you're a sophomore, if you're junior or senior. I think it doesn't really matter. I think our advice stays kind of generally the same, depending, especially if you took August, and we can kind of use how you did on August as an indicator of feedback. But for now, the immediate concern, September, sign up registration due date is coming up pretty rapidly. Deanna, should I sign up for September?
So late registration for September ends September 2nd, which means most people will get their scores September 5th if you took August 2025, which means you have to register for it before scores come out. Now, there are a couple students who can or should, I'm going to say, it's a couple students who should take September, which is I'm going to give a very hard rule. If the only questions you struggled with on August 2025 in math were the last 5 questions on module 2 of math, and you got the upper module in for your second math module, or in reading, the only questions you struggled with were the last 3 to 4 questions on module 2 reading, maybe question the last inference question on module 1 of reading. If those were the only questions that you struggled with or you felt were difficult or kind of threw you on a curveball, you can definitely sign up for September. Notice how I did not mention writing. If at any point in time, any single writing question gave you pause or felt difficult, now I'm putting my foot down. I am not allowing you to walk into September, okay? Because like we talked in our August React video, writing is one of those things that's super repetitive. You see the same kind of rules come up again and again and again. Yes, in slightly different passages. Yes, it's not the exact same question copy paste, but it's the same idea. So if you struggle at all with writing, immediately do not allow yourself to walk into September. Same goes for algebra questions on the math section. If any algebra question, no matter where on the test it was, if it gave you pause, you are not allowed to walk into September. Anybody else, if you fall into those 2 hard rules I gave, it was a very specific group of math questions or a very specific group of reading questions that you struggled with. Likely you hit all the bases, you prepped well, maybe it was test nerves, maybe you got, a quite difficult batch of upper level difficulty questions on those modules, or maybe it was a whole mix of things. It seems like you're well prepared. You can definitely walk into September. Definitely continue studying. Don't just walk into September. Continue studying from this point on, but you should absolutely sign up and take September.
Yeah. Thank you for the very hard and fast rules. I'm going to put a quick plug for the SAT TheHagwon question bank. We have a free version as well. We're talking a lot about specific categories of questions. You might not know what they look like exactly. I think every person has their own kind of categorization as well for when it comes to SAT questions. We have what we think are a pretty good set of definitions. So if you want to practice those specific question types that we're talking about, whether it's algebra, whether it's writing or grammar, we can help you with that. Or if you just want to have a look at what we think are certain types of questions, please do so. Link in description, pop up in the top right somewhere. Okay. So September, if you're ready for it, the beauty of the SAT, by the way, this fall is that you kind of have tests every 3 weeks. So even going to the next test, like skipping a test is not really skipping all that much. You're skipping maybe a month, even less than a month if you look at it. So don't feel like you have to be in some kind of rush. Take it when you're ready. That being said, the further we get into the fall semester, the closer you get to your midterms. So October is kind of in a nice spot where you're not really thinking about midterms yet. When we start heading to November and December, usually you don't have both options. This year you do. But that's some of the most unpopular times to take the SAT. Deanna, why is it unpopular? And should you take November, December in any circumstance?
Right. So we've already talked to our seniors. They know why November, December, not super attractive for them. Juniors, likely, especially if you're taking AP classes or you're taking IB classes, November, December, there's going to be a lot going on. You're going to be, there's going to be a lot on your plate on those months. That's usually why November, December aren't popular for students in general. Now, are those bad tests to take? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And here's what I'm going to explain, which is my general rule when I teach students is from when you first start studying for the SAT, ideally you would get it done in 6 to 8 months. And what I mean by that is from the first diagnostic you take, try to make your last test be within maximum 8 months of that date. And the reason for that is SAT is one of those things where it's a very specific skill set. Yes, it's not unrelated to what you're learning in school, but it's a very specific type of learning we're doing here. And it's not something that will continue to grow when you let go of it. So what I mean by that is you studied over summer, you studied for 3 months, and then fall semester hit and you're really, committed to your classes and extracurriculars. You're not studying for SAT at all. When you come back in 3 to 4 months, it's going to be brand new to you. It's absolutely going to be something that will escape you and it will evaporate. So if you've started studying for it, my best piece of advice is keep studying and keep doing the practice while you're still in the groove of things, and then get the score that you need out of it while you're still here. Don't walk away and then come back, because you're going to have to start from ground zero. I have lots of students who will take class with me. They'll see their score increase, and they'll start from here. They'll see their score increase to here. They think if they go back, if they leave in October and come back in May and start studying again, they think they'll start from here because that's the score they got. You're not. You're back here, because it's been too long. And so you're going to have to put in extra work to get to where it is you actually want to go. So if you can afford to, don't do that. Put in the work and study now. If you're a junior, I know it's awful and it's going to hurt a little bit and everything is hectic. I totally understand it. But if we can just kind of put in the dirty work and grind a little bit this fall, I would think continue. If you don't fall under the conditions I talked about in taking September, put in the extra legwork, really study for an extra month or two, and I would take probably November is a good test date to take, depending on how much material you have to study. I would think, as a good ballpark rule, if of the things I talked about, you only struggled with math, maybe study the extra month and take October. If you need to study math and writing, take the extra 2 months and study until November. And if you felt that all three of the modules were all really difficult, the more basic question types, the more sophisticated question types, all difficult, take the extra time, study until December, and take the December test. There's no shame in taking the later exams. Now, if you're a sophomore and you're kind of prepping a little early for the SAT, definitely don't force yourself to take September, October. You should take November, December. One thing to remember, though, June's talking about how wonderful it is this fall. You can take a test every month. There is a test every month you can take, and you have so many choices. The one sad thing is they've gotten rid of the January SAT. So what that means is we don't have the luxury of studying over winter break and then taking a test immediately after. We've kind of lost that. You're going to have to wait until March. And juniors, if you think fall semester is bad, wait until you get to March. It will be a lot worse. That's why I'm saying if you're a junior and you really need to take it, because we don't have January anymore, November, December might be a good option for you. Because March and May, by gosh, will be quite bad for juniors. So definitely try to get it done this fall. If you are a sophomore, you studied really hard over summer, you think you're at a pretty good place, definitely try November, December. I think for you, to take the extra time, let the schoolwork kind of help you learn a little more in terms of reading and math in general. And if not, definitely my sophomores, March and May, good test days to take. So don't force yourself to have to take a test this fall if you are a sophomore. If you're a freshman, good, you're very early on. Don't feel like you have to walk into a test center, and two, don't think that you're here so early that you can walk into every test center and it's fine. I know because we have score choice, you don't have to send all your scores. Historically, though, we see students who take tests casually, they walk into a test center every other month, spend a lot longer preparing for the SAT than students who really wait to take their first test. So freshmen, don't walk prematurely into a test center.
Yeah, Deanna, you always talk about that kind of 6-month rule, like from the moment you begin studying SAT to your last test. Ideally, it's within kind of 6-month range. If you have been consistently really putting in the hours, really kind of training that SAT brain, maybe November, December makes sense. You want to get out of the way. It's always an attractive prospect to be done with your SAT. You don't have to think about it anymore. You're not touching it. You can focus on the rest of your high school experience, especially, and this is something I think some people forget, the hours you put into the SAT are hours you are not studying at school, and your GPA is a little harder to raise than an SAT. You mess up once with GPA, it's a cumulative number. Have you ever tried adding a lot of numbers together at an average? You only get six. You only get 6 or 7, like bites of the apple for semesters.
Yeah. We've all walked out of a midterm and done the math of like how poorly can this go for me to still come out of this class, unscathed. I understand, but yeah, when in doubt, maybe don't take the test unless you absolutely have to.
That's kind of the advice we have for fall. When it comes to studying over winter break and taking a test in 2026, yes, there's no January. Very sad. But we'll talk a little bit more about study plans and kind of game plan approaches for 2026 SAT test takers later this year. So keep posted for that. And I think that's all we have to say about what fall 2025 SAT test takers have in store. So good luck, everyone. Very, very good luck. Try your best. Make sure to be judicious with your test approach. Taking a test every single time for the sake of it, as we has well established, is not going to work. Indiana, anything else?
Start vocab now.
Evergreen advice.
Now.
The earlier you do vocab, even if you're a senior, maybe those 20 words you drill last night, one of them shows up. Fantastic. That's one question out of a very small number. All right, guys. Good luck. Take the right tests. If you have any questions, we're down in the comments. Your situation might be a little more specific. We understand that. But good luck, guys. We'll see you, hopefully, not ever again here, so you're done. But if you are, again, we'll have videos on 2026 test taking. We'll have resources down below if you want to focus on particular question types or you want to get started in vocabulary. We have a tool called Vocability. Groups it into kind of really intuitive ideas. Helps a lot in our experience. And we'll see you next time. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.